Hey everyone, Tim Schofield here, and I know I just posted my unboxing on the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. However, I've actually been using it for about a week now, so I wanted to give you guys further impressions that I have on the new folding phone from Google. And don't worry, as was heavily requested, I do put it up side by side with some of the more popular foldables out on the market now. In this video, we'll talk about the new design of the foldable. We'll talk about that camera system, the new Tensor G4, and my overall experience using this phone as my main device. Let's get started. I do really like the new design of the Pixel 9 Pro Fold. It made a lot of meaningful updates to the previous model. Of course, it's super thin. I really like how comfortable it is to hold in your hand when folded, and then unfolded, you can just feel how thin both sides are. The camera bump on the back is fairly substantial, but I do want to point out that you don't get a rock back and forth if you're using the phone flat on the table, but when you do unfold it, there's just a slight rock back and forth. It's really not that big of a deal. Actually kind of funny, because it's so thin, it's taking me a little while to get used to unfolding the phone just because there's not as much real estate to grab onto. I have found that over time I've gotten better and better at it, and I don't think it's going to be an issue going forward. The phone itself is very premium. The hinge feels very smooth and sturdy. It's just a really well-made device. And with that hinge comes that left side bezel that you see. A lot of polarizing comments on this, and you'll see next to the Pixel 9 just how much of a bezel that it actually adds. Functionally though, if you're left-handed and like to hold the phone in your left hand, the corner is actually a little bit sharper so it digs in more to your palm, whereas if you hold it with your right hand, it is more rounded, so more comfortable to hold. Now on the software side of things, I love that you can swipe up to continue apps. When you're using an app on the inside display, you decide to close and fold the phone, you get the option to swipe up to continue using that app on the front screen, or you can leave it alone and it'll just lock the phone. App Pair is also another useful addition to this phone. You'll notice I already have one set up between Instagram and Chrome side by side, but if you wanted to set one up, it's super simple. Just put two apps up, left and right hand side, go to your recent apps, and you can just add a shortcut to your home screen of opening both those apps at the same time. I mentioned this in my unboxing, but don't forget that you can double tap in between the apps and it will quick swap them back and forth. It's really convenient that the face unlock works on both that front outer screen and that internal display as well, specifically if you're using it for purchases or banking apps. Now I want to mention, since there's no infrared scanner, in the dark, the face unlock just doesn't work, but that's okay. You still have the fallback of that fingerprint scanner. It's really not that big of a deal. With Google's new Tensor G4 chipset, that's their latest, that's their flagship chip. It does get warm, don't get me wrong, when I'm using it extended periods, using the camera a lot, or even when I'm downloading things on mobile data, but it doesn't get extremely hot. Definitely not as hot as previous versions of the Tensor chips. And when it comes to gaming, some apps are actually optimized for using your phone when folded. I find this useful when you're playing a racing game and you want to see the twists and turns of the track while you're actually playing the game. Now, interestingly enough, I noticed that Gmail doesn't take advantage of the tablet form factor when you flip open the phone, but if you do go in landscape mode, it will activate it. I hope this is just a bug in Gmail that will get updated a little bit later, because if I go into a lot of other apps, they open in their tablet mode. Here's just an example with Spotify. Also, I love the new weather app that Google has added. Super useful information, and it's optimized for a folding phone. That internal display is a definite improvement as well. The crease in the middle isn't quite as substantial as the previous model. It does seem to get a little bit brighter outside, and the reflections are a little bit better. Don't get me wrong, it still reflects somewhat compared to other foldables, but it's a lot better than last year's. As promised, a side-by-side comparison with the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 6 and the OnePlus Open, two of the biggest foldables to check out that you might consider over this one. As mentioned, the weight is a big factor. The Z Fold 6 is noticeably lighter. However, it's noticeably thicker than the Pixel Fold. The 9 Pro Fold and the OnePlus Open have more functional front screens. It's a little cramped on the Galaxy Z Fold 6. And it's honestly just a personal preference what you like for the aspect ratio of that internal display, a little bit more square or a little bit taller on Samsung's. A little different than the rest of the Pixel 9 series, you get the double stacked camera bar in the top left corner. And I have to say, when it comes to the camera, I am missing using the 9 Pro's camera, actually. The hardware on the Fold is just lacking a little bit. It's not that the cameras are bad by any means. They still take really good shots and utilize Google's software processing. However, when you're spending this kind of money, you do hope for the best camera optics. However, that's similar to what Samsung does. They don't include their best cameras in their Fold either, and I do believe some of that is due to size constraints. I am happy they included the Pro camera features that the Pixel 9 does not have. This gives you more control over the shot that you take, but I also, of course, have to mention it's a foldable phone, so you can take those selfies with that outside display. You can frame and then make sure you're looking at the lens and snap them. I want to say the new Made You Look feature doesn't just work on kids. It can get adults to make sure they're staring at the phone as well. Taking selfies is really easy. Just hold up a palm and it will start a countdown. While it is lighter at 257 grams, there's a noticeable difference at 239 grams on the Galaxy Z Fold 6. So prolonged use, yes, I start to notice the weight of this phone, especially in comparison to a regular phone. And I know it's only been a week, but battery life on this phone has been really solid. I have been impressed on the whole Pixel 9 series lineup in terms of battery life, a definite improvement from last year's. Google even included a custom thinner haptics driver, and I have to say I do like the motor. The haptics feel very premium, very crisp. So overall, Google has made a lot of meaningful improvements to their Pixel 9 Pro Fold. I do really like the new design. That inner screen definitely got an improvement. At this price point, I was hoping those rear cameras were going to be a little bit better hardware-wise, so that's just something that you sort of have to sacrifice because, of course, of how thin this device actually is. But anyways, drop a comment. Let me know what you think about the new foldable from Google. A lot more to come. Be sure to click that subscribe button. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up as well. And as always, thanks for watching.